Finding the slope or rate of change from a table or graph can sometimes be a little bit tricky. So let's go through some examples so that way you're confident in moving forward and being able to find it without having it in an equation form. So the first thing that we need to remember is that slope and rate of change are the exact same thing. Especially when it comes to our equations, when you have it in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, we know that m is going to be our slope. But when we don't have it in equation form and we're just given some points or a table or the picture of it, you need to be able to find the slope for that as well. So remember, slope is the change in y over the change in x, or we can call it the rise over run. How much does it go up and down? And how much does it go side to side? All right, so when we're looking at a table, you can't really see. I mean, these are each individual thing right here is a point. This is like -2, 3. That's a point on the coordinate plane. -1, 5. That's another point on the coordinate plane. 0, 7, 1, 9, 2, 11. These are all different points. They've just put them in the form of a table. Sometimes it's easier for us to see what's going on and to analyze some of our points. This also makes it easier for us to find slope though. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at everything right here in this x column, and we're going to figure out how do you get from one point to the other. So how did we get from -2 to -1? Well, we added 1. Hey, how did we get from -1 to 0? We added 1 again. And from 0 to 1 and 1 to 2, each time we added 1. Now let's look at our y column. How did we get from 3 to 5? We added 2. How did we get from 5 to 7? Well, we added 2 again. And from 7 to 9, and from 9 to 11. We added 2 to get there. So these are our y's. So how did our y's change? What was our change of y? Our change in y is 2. Now what's our change in x? 1. 2 divided by 1, that means that our slope right here is going to equal 2 over 1, which equals 2. It's that simple. All you need to do is figure out what's going on in the x column, what's going on in the y column, and set them up in the proper ratio of change in y over x. Remember, your y needs to go first. All right, so let's go through another one. Let's do this one over here. So we have the x column is -3, -2, -1, 0, and 1. How did the x's start to move? How did we get from -3 to -2? Well, again, we added 1. We added 1 all the way down. So we know here that our change in x is going to equal 1. All right, so our change in y from 5 to 2, we subtracted 3. From 2 to -1, we subtracted 3 all the way down. So our change in y is -3. So when we put that into the ratio, -3 over 1, we know that m, our slope, is going to be -3 over 1, which simplifies into -3. You can have negative slopes. Remember, they're going to look differently. Negative slopes are going to be going down like this. Whereas over here with our first example, our positive slope is going to be going up. All right? We've got one more table over here. Let's go ahead and go through it. So our x's, how do we get from -1 to 1? We added 2. And from 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 7, we added 2 the whole way down. All right? How about our y's? How did we get from 1 to 2? We added 1. 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, we added 1. All right, so our change in y is going to be 1, and our change in x is going to be 2. When we put them in the proper ratio, we're going to get 1 over 2, which is 1/2. So our slope is going to be 1 over 2, 1/2. All right. Now, when we visualize our graph, or when we have our graph already shown for us, sometimes we're lucky and we get these points right here, and they're given to us. Other times we may not have points, and you have to put your own points on the graph. Either way, it's no big deal. You're very capable of doing that. So again, we are going to be the change in y over the change in x. And that is rise over run. So first we're going to see how far do we go up and down from one point to the next point. So let's start over here. From this point right here to this point, how far do we move up and down? We don't move any, it's 0. How far then is our change in x? Do we move side to side, our run? Well, it looks like we move 1 unit. So 0 over 1. So have your calculator ready. 0 divided by 1 is going to be 0. So the slope of number 5 equals 0. That's a good one for just to start with, because anytime that you see this horizontal line, you know that you're going to have a slope of 0. Let's give number 6 a whirl. Let's start here with this one, this bottom dot, and we're going to move up to this top dot. All right, so our rise over run, change in y over change in x. Okay, how many units did we move up or down from this point to this point? Well, it looks like we moved up, so it's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units. So our change in y is 4. And our change in x, from here to this point here, how many units did we go over to the side? Well, we're going to count right here. 1. 1 we went. Our run was 1. So our slope is 4 over 1, which just equals 4. Number 7. Okay, we're going to start over here on the left, and we're going to move to our right, just like when we're reading a book. So our change in y, from here to here, we are now going down. So we're going down 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So our change in y is -4, because it's going down 4 units. Our change in x, let's see, to get from this to all the way over here, we're going to go over 1, 2 units. Yep, so if we went down our 4 units, how do we get from this point over? We go 1, 2. It's a positive 2 because it's moving to the right. So our slope is going to be -4 over 2, which equals -2. And finally, our last example, we're going to start at the top and work our way down. So we'll go from this point to this point. Our change in y, we are going to go down 2 units, so -2. And our change in x is 0. We're not moving side to side at all. Well, when we divide anything by 0, so -2 divided by 0, you cannot divide by 0. That's an error. You're going to get that in your calculator. That means that this slope is undefined. Anytime that you have a vertical line, one that goes up and down like this, that means that you have an undefined slope. Now, when you have a horizontal line, like over here on this example, that means that our slope is 0. If you get confused on which one is which, go ahead and fill out your change in y and your change in x and stick it in your calculator. When you get an error, then you're going to know that it's undefined. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or contact me through Google Classroom or on Remind. I will be here to help you. This is review. I think you guys are going to do great on this, and we'll move into more slope tomorrow.